Hello, my name is Kevin Snack from Green Space Architects. Uh, we have a lot of experience of creating carefully crafted low energy homes across the whole of England and Wales. And I'm here to talk to you about how to get the wow factor if you're on a budget. Now, what is the wow factor? Well, we're all familiar with bits of iconic architecture that, because of their setting, their form, um, their scale, their just unconventionality, that they take your breath away. Both inside and outside, such as Frank Lloyd Wright exploiting the setting at Falling Water. And you might have a view, frame it. You might not have the Grand Canyon, but it's a fantastic way of going about things. Bringing light in, Le Corbusier's iconic chapel at Longchamp in France has this incredible wall to bring light in through stained glass. Frank Gehry with his quirky forms and metal claddings, incredible shape, but you need an incredible budget to do it. Something just like one big element, the scale of this piece of glass is extraordinary, and they don't have to really do very much else to have a complete wow factor in their modest building. This one was from George Clark's Amazing Spaces, using structural gymnastics to create a real wow in a fairly simple form. And materials. You can work with the materials you have to have. Here's Gaudi doing his thing with tiles in Barcelona, but again, you can do it on a more modest scale to achieve the effects you want. And we have really 5 key ideas about how to do this. One, you've got to aspire. You have to want something fantastic, and then you've got a site or a building. You've got to work with what's given. Now, on the right here is Graven Hill in 2017. Doesn't look like there's a lot to work with, and you have to invent it all, which indeed you do. But you've got a big tree in front, you've got a view beyond, and you've got the promise of other buildings around it. So we can work with that. Simplicity also is doing a few things well rather than complex things badly. Um, that, that really is a key idea. Keeping it modest in size. So many of our clients want things that are simply too big. Keep the size down, leaves you more money to spend on nice to haves. And then work what's needed. You've got to have walls, roofs, windows, doors, kitchens, etc. Work with those to the best effect. And we show you how we do this through our project work on the following slides. So aspirations, really day one, blank piece of paper. Nobody's telling you can't have anything. Anything is possible. So what is your dream? Um, Avoiding mundane things. You don't have to have a brick wall with white windows and concrete tiles. There are 1,000 other things you can do. Aspire to those. Demand the best from your designers, from your builders, from your craftsmen, from your suppliers. Get the best out of them, what they're able to do. But do invest in design. It really will pay dividends in the future, both through coordination, experience, the quality of the product you get. And ensure you strive for beauty and delight. You're going to be in it every day. You've got to be somewhere that you will love, and that has got to be the ultimate goal. People bring me all sorts of inspiration, fantastic places they've been, paintings, landscapes, holiday snaps, holiday experiences to inform their design, saying this is where I was happiest. And your dream, this is a holiday home in Durham, based on a walled garden, a secret garden, in fact. And, anything is indeed possible if you only want it enough. Don't have to have mundane things, as I say. It doesn't have to be a brick wall, even if you're in a village. It doesn't have to be a brick wall with white windows. Here we have copper cladding, battens, tiled wood facade that breaks from the front to form a canopy. It's a current planning application in Shropshire. Investing in design gives you something you might never have expected. You could have an innkeeping extension to this cottage, or you could have something more spectacular. And demand the best. Any site, any location can be uh, the best thing that there is. It's just you have to make it so. And here we're trying very hard up in Hertfordshire to do just that. And what is your version of beauty? What delights you? Really talk to your architect about how to get that out of your project, out of your location. And that works by starting from your ideas. We go on to a thorough understanding of the site. Now, all these things are givens. The sun rises in the east, it sets in the west. The views are where they are. You may have existing structures you can use. You'll probably have outdoor space you can work with and a wider landscape to bring into your project. So it's a place already. Use what there is. The sunlight, tracking the sun around through the day and bringing it in at high level or through roof lights can have a dramatic effect on your interiors and have a real wow to them through simply placing a window at high level. Work with the setting, how you place your building in that context could be a real, it doesn't have to be the New England forest over a waterfall to be a spectacular setting if you've got the space. And views from, here we've got plate glass to capture a view of the Wye Valley in Monmouthshire. Fantastic potential just by bringing the view into the house. Existing structures, almost anything you've got could be almost anything you want. So what is yours? What is your thing? Again, a spectacular transformation with a first floor extension and an overclad the ground floor to this house, reworked interior to give something that's unlike anything anyone else has got. Don't forget your outdoor space. These are outdoor rooms. You can work your plan. Shouldn't stop at the outside wall. It should take in all the spaces around it and the wider context. So you can bring the hills in the distance, in this case the Brecon Beacons, right the way into this, into the interior of this house. Okay, not a modest budget, but the ideas are there that you bring the garden and the landscape right into the building. Simplicity, really. Now, simple things can be adorned, can be worked into, don't eat up the budget with complexity. So that can be form, composition of elements, the interior layout and the site layout, a simple set of materials, and then you can work on the detail. It's about doing a few things well. This little house in a village plot in Somerset is a simple box. It's the most cost-effective way of enclosing space, being the minimum amount of external wall, the most expensive element, for the maximum place inside. Then you can have fun with glazing, roofs, roof lights, and the interior spaces and the fittings without getting hung up on complicated shapes with lots of corners and detail and complexity. Composition. Here we have a simple wooden box over a brick box, and then it's about fenestration and detail. It's a simple arrangement for a slot site, works really well, and doesn't take up resources on complex details. Again, the layout, a largely orthogonal layout here allows the crinkly edge towards the view to be aligned to the various aspects and focal points there are in the distance to great effect. 90% of it just happens, and then there's one element that adds all the interest. Materials, we have a rule of three that material, you have to have three materials and make them do everything in different proportions on your project. Will really hang together and give a whole thing a very complete look. Only change a material or add another one if you need it for emphasis, or the materials you've got simply won't do that job. Then you can work into the details, but again, it doesn't have to be everywhere. Here we turn a simple corridor into a living space by creating a window seat and a thick wall with a large fixed window. But again, the detail, the lining is just on one reveal and the sill where you're likely to sit. The others are just painted. And work with the materials you've got. Workmanship is terribly important, fit and finish, and using materials in perhaps an unusual way, avoiding cover strips and things to make the material really work for you to spectacular effect. Size. This is a really a big one, if I may say. Um, Everyone wants to build more than they can really afford and more than they really need. So don't build too big, but you can make your project look bigger by making the way you design it to bring in outside spaces and other features to make it look bigger than it is. Make spaces multitask. We're all familiar with the kitchen, living, dining space, but make guest rooms become sewing rooms or gyms or offices. And the big one again, avoid circulation space. Corridors cost just as much as living space. If you've got a modest budget, you want to minimize these so all your money is spent on spaces to live. But the converse to that is don't go too small. But it simply leaves money to spend on the nice things. So this one, 141 square meters, essentially one room downstairs, three rooms upstairs, plus bathrooms. And they all really work for these people. It really doesn't need more than that for two people to feel comfortable and spacious. Enlargement here, we've got a house, a reasonable sized house, a distance from the garage, and then a courtyard with a screen wall. When viewed from a distance, makes the house look absolutely enormous. We've even brought in an existing outbuilding into the composition to make it look part of the same thing to an even larger effect. But the house itself is a fairly standard four-bed house size with an annex. And this is that 141 square meter house with the flexible kitchen, living, diner downstairs, all in one big space, feeling much bigger than perhaps perhaps it deserves. Um, and then the upstairs with the master bedroom on the left, again a modest size because you've got the separate dressing, but it also opens straight into the upstairs sitting room when there are no guests there. It can be closed down with pocket doors if there are guests. The bedroom on the right is doubles up as an office for the gentleman, uh, so it's used all the time. Avoiding circulation space, the house at Graven Hill again has one big multi-faceted living space that opens straight onto the staircase. You really got lots of different spaces, but the feeling of you can use all of it all the time, but don't go too small for obvious reasons. You'll regret it. Then work with what's needed. You need to have all these building elements. There's a big difference between building and architecture. Anyone can do the thing on the right, walls, floors, roofs, trusses, um, but you can really make them work for you. So walls and roofs, components like windows and doors, joinery items, the finishes, and even artificial light. So just walls and roof with some nice finishes on them, but to spectacular effect. Similarly, inside, you don't need to give up first floor space to create double height volumes. You can simply use roof voids without flat ceilings to create spectacular space, and then how you occupy it with the materials and so on makes all the difference. Windows, doors, and roof lights. There's no artificial lighting in this photograph. The full height doors and windows give a spectacular effect. They open to the eaves, open to the ridge, and the roof lights make it a space that's just sings with light all the time and is a really wonderful space to walk into. And use the components you have. You can make a real statement with just like this kitchen island and the back fittings. Even the simple staircase on the right doesn't have to be a fancy glass clad oak structured staircase. This is just a little link between two existing buildings, wide treads, nice finish, bit of lighting, and other than that, it's just a good space with a nice focal point at the end. And then the materials, you can make a spectacular effect with some tiling that you've got to have for a hearth, but what you choose can make a real focal point. That's sort of opposite the entrance hall. And then the similar materials with no skirtings, no architraves, everything flush fitting, and some lovely furniture that all works to create one fantastic composition. And artificial lighting, you can bring things to life at night, both inside and outside. To again, you need to have some lighting, a couple of extra ones here, but modest cost for recessed downlighters and to spectacular effect. So, really, my 5 key points are: aspire to create something that you really will love. Work with what the site gives you, keep it simple, keep it modest in size, and then work with the elements you've already got to create a work of architecture. Now, we've been doing stuff on the QA session. Now, I will continue to do that, and I'll head over that and answer as many as I can.